Hey team, Glenn Azar here. Welcome back to the Building Better Humans Project podcast for yet another episode of Mayhem Mondays, which means
we got mayhem
in the building.
Yeah.
So we talked last week about a pretty intense situation we've been through. And again, I want to reiterate that is all about lessons of growth. It's not about having a go at the people for what happened, although they've got their own standard. It's about our piece in it. And so I just want to follow that up by saying everything that happens in your life, you have to look at how you respond to it. And if it's not a positive response, ask yourself, is there a better way I could have responded, or can I remove myself from that situation, or how do I stop it happening again?
How could I have prevented that situation in the first place? So that's where accountability comes in. What part did you play in all of that? And we explained our part in that, and we're going to actively, moving forward, not make the same mistake. And
the reason I think that's important is because if you constantly go through similar things, and think about relationships where someone goes, oh, she's just attracted to the bad boys, or, you know, he's always attracted to the same type of people. Well, at some point, you've got to ask yourself questions around that. If you constantly have a behaviour that keeps happening. In my situation, if I keep letting, you know, in this case, talented athletes come in and just behave a certain way, the ones I've held a standard for, and I'll talk about Jaden Nicarima, who's obviously I'm very close to, but when he was going through all of his challenges, I didn't know him when I'd only met him once and he wanted to come and work with me. I made him come and meet me at 5 a.m. on a Friday morning, and he was like, he didn't know 5 a.m. existed unless he was coming home from a bender. That's what he said afterwards. And that was part of his problems, drugs and alcohol abuse and things. And I said to him, the reason I did that was I wanted to see if you'd turn up, because if you didn't turn up, I wasn't going to waste any more time. I got away from that over the last couple of years, and I started to give people leeway when they turned up late or didn't turn up at all. So I have to own that. And if I do that again because, but they're really talented, you and I are at least in a situation where you can go, no, bro, that's not what we're doing. And so I think that's the lesson learned. Too often, if you need someone else to change a behaviour, then they have all the power. I need to own my thing. So I don't care how talented you are. I have to be able to walk away from that. So that's my lesson. And for you guys out there, learn your lessons. When you're making mistakes, don't just assume it's someone else's fault. Learn your lessons, which kind of... So what I'm saying there is, it flies in the face of what we're going to talk about next, my opinion anyway, which is people can't make you feel a thing. Because what I'm saying is, if I need someone else to change a behaviour in order for me to perform or feel a certain way, well, that's giving them all the power. But I also do firmly believe that other people can make you feel things.
I don't believe that. So I don't believe any of that. So one of our first dates that we went on, we had this discussion, and it got I won't say heated.
Was that at same? So same, because we always like to talk about food. People ask us, same's are very nice.
Is it same?
Yeah.
Or summer? Someone's going to have to tell us, because
it's spelled same.
I know, but everybody in Brisbane has this debate.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I've not heard this debate.
You
but anyway,
heard this debate?
The Aussie me says it's same, mate. but same. I like that. I'm going to ask them. But it's an amazing Asian fusion restaurant who also don't sponsor us, but also would be most welcome to.
Any of these
Just going to keep putting that out there. Yeah, we went out there for dinner, and we had this discussion.
So basically, I say nobody can make you feel anything, and it's your choice to feel that way or not feel that way, based on you at that time, but also based on your experiences and your life upbringings and the way that you are conditioned, and also the way that you're conditioned, you can recondition yourself.
But like someone cuts you off in traffic and you get angry.
That's your choice, because you don't have to be angry.
But you do.
But that's my choice. But I don't always. Otherwise, I would always, and everybody would always react the same way.
Yeah, but you do. If people cut you off, you always react the same way.
Yeah, because that's my choice.
But my point is, like if you really deeply, passionately love someone and they do something that hurts you, it hurts, and you can't just turn that off.
Yeah, you can't, but that's based on your upbringings and based on how you feel about that person.
Yeah, but they've created it you
actually can get to a point where you're like, I don't want to feel this way anymore, so I'm going to choose not to feel this way anymore.
But if you say to them, You're carrying out this behaviour and it's making me feel a thing. This is honest conversations. And then
Some people are that strong that you do them wrong once, no matter how much they feel about you, they will choose to go, see ya, and they will leave and they will not think about you again.
yeah, I don't know if that's entirely true.
I do.
If you're that deeply, if I separated from you, I think I'm pretty solid and I can move on, and I think you do as well. We've always said that. But I said this to you last night when we were out, that if I was to be separated from you, I don't think I would get over it. I'm that attached to you.
But that's you. I'm not making you feel that.
Well, you are, because if you stayed with me, I wouldn't feel it.
How often do we say, at what point are you going to go, I'm making a choice now? You're always making a choice.
But if you separated, so if we separated, even if you don't want to admit it, you would still feel bad.
Based on my choices, based on how I feel about you. You're not making me, you haven't got some magic power that's going to be like, doing a wand and making her feel this way.
We're not going to talk about my magic wand.
I'm going to feel how I feel because of who I am, how I am, and how I grew up.
Do you not think that's
and how
semantics,
I feel
though?
about
That's
you.
just us shifting words around?
No.
So,
Because at some point I can choose to go, that relationship wasn't good for me and I'm going to feel better about that now. Or you could sit in your own dark thoughts and be sad for the rest of your life. You're not making me feel anything.
If we
I'm
separate,
choosing.
just to be clear for everyone watching and listening, if we separate, I want you to feel bad for the rest of your life.
Yeah, if I do, you're not making me feel that way though.
I'm requesting it. So I just can't get on board with that.
So my
Because
thing is when people say, stop making me, or she made me feel bad. You don't have to feel bad. She made me feel guilty. You don't have to feel guilty.
You can't just control an emotion like that. If you feel upset.
If you're strong enough, you can.
I don't think either of us are strong enough that we.
Okay, but that's besides the point of whether we can or we can't. The point is, it's your choice.
I just don't agree.
I
think emotions are so raw and so real that I don't choose to feel upset like that.
But you can choose to feel not upset. So you can go in your own mind and come up with all the reasons why you're going to choose to feel happy today. So you know how people say choose happiness?
Yeah.
And some people go, oh, but I'm so sad in my life that I can't. But you can.
I get that. And I understand changing your physiology can make you music you listen to, or you can change your physiology that way. But your initial reaction is still very hard. It's an internal real thing that just happens. And then you've got to consciously try and pull yourself out of it.
But that's based on who you are,
or your past
your
experiences.
life is, your past experiences, and how you react to a certain situation.
But you can't control that until you consciously think about.
So in the future, so let's give you an example. Say you chose the bad boy twice, right? So the first time you chose the bad boy, you really believed in the bad boy. You thought that he loved you, and then he did something. He cheated on you. And you are so sad about it and so upset about so upset about it because that's how you feel. Then the second time that it happens...
Same guy?
No, different guy. So say you chose another bad boy and he cheats on you. You can go from this experience, based on my life experiences, instead of feeling sad and angry about it, I'm going to choose to go, nope.
But when
I'm going to be happy because I've already made that same mistake, and I'm not going to allow another person, this power over me. I'm going to choose to have my own power.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm going to say to you is when that second person cheats on you, you've been together 3 months, 6 months, a year, and everything's been sweet, everything's going really good, and then you find out he cheated, your initial response would still be gutted because you trusted this person, you love this person. That would be your initial response. Your then trained response, your conscious response.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm talking about people can make us feel a certain way at a subconscious level, then we have to turn it around.
Or you could go, oh, this again, and move on.
But the danger of that is, which I still think is a conscious decision, I'm talking about your subconscious decision is
based on your life experiences, based on who you are.
But if you cheated on me, I would be gutted, right? Absolutely.
based on who you are.
No,
because you put so much love and trust into me.
But I'd be gutted.
That was your choice.
And then I would have
Everything
to
is your
consciously
choice.
say, all right, she did a thing, knowing that I was against that thing. We've talked about this. This was actually something we had talked about. So now I have to consciously move past that. But I don't think in a month's time I'm going to be sitting going, that was cool. That was all good.
No, it's
I'm going to
not-
still be gutted.
No, it's not saying it's cool, but it's choosing to not allow somebody to have so much power over you that you're going to be so sad about it forever. Or
I don't know if ever. I think the more distance you have, it'll get better. But I'm just saying my initial response and my response every time I think about you for a period of time until distance came between us would still be gutted. And I think even in a year's time and
But
2
that's your
years' time,
choice.
I would
because
still...
eventually, like you just said, you make a choice not to be sad about it
That's
anymore.
conscious. But the initial response is subconscious.
But that's based on who you are.
Yeah, but you can't control the
Based
subconscious.
on your...
Based on your life experience, but you can't control that. So someone made me feel that by the action they took
They didn't
based on
make
my
you
subconscious.
feel anything.
This is semantics.
That's how
We're just
you
playing with words.
felt. That's how you felt.
But you can't control that until you take the conscious side to it.
Otherwise, you could say, this person made me cheat because they didn't give me enough attention.
I'll tell you this story. I'll tell everyone else this story because you know the story. We had this conversation and it was probably the first, I wouldn't even say it was heated, but we just refused to agree on it.
I don't think we ever will agree.
No, we're not going to agree. We're not going to agree today.
And we would
This
love your
podcast
thoughts,
can't go long enough.
what you think.
But I want to say this, because this is what I took out of this, is we had this disagreement over dinner. The first time we'd had a disagreement, and it was very early on in us seeing each other. You know, we still weren't like living together or any of that sort of stuff. It was just, you know, those early stages. And then after the conversation where I think it kind of ended by me saying, we're going to have to agree to disagree because I'm not getting on board. And one thing I'll say with Millie in any discussion, she's very good at getting you on board. And she's relentless. She'll beat you down until you go, you know what? You're right. You just give up. You are. You're very good at it. And I was talking to Linda recently, to Ma, when she was visiting, and she said, Millie's too quick with her words and her thinking. And sometimes when I have a discussion with her, an hour later I think about something I could have said or should have said. I said, yeah, but Millie ought to have had a response for that. Because you think very quickly, which is really bad for the boys when they try and make up stories because you're 3 steps ahead of them.
Chestnut checkers boys.
and they still haven't learned because they're young. And I think, well, I'm 53 and I still haven't learned. But one thing I took out of that is I just said, we're just going to agree to disagree. Because there are some times where I just can't get on board with the thing. And I do think I have flexible belief systems and all that. So I think I've changed a lot since being with you. But this is the lesson I took out of that is you went to the toilet. And I was just sitting on my own for a little bit, and then you came back and you actually sat on my lap and you got a bit teary. And I was like, what's that about? And you said, I think this is the first time I've had a disagreement with a man where he hasn't got angry because I wouldn't agree with him. Which is, I never really thought about that because I'm a big bloke and all that sort of stuff, and you don't realise that men would use anger to
They
try
would, and they get personal and they
Yeah.
get really, really angry when a woman, especially somebody who they're dating, doesn't just automatically agree with them, and that's just not me. If I don't agree, I'm going to say
How
it.
do they get personal? Are you happy with those eyebrows?
Are you happy with yours?
I've got a men's head, so it's all right. This is a rugged good look, so it's not like a Brad Pitt.
Oh my God.
But I do think that was a good point early in our relationship to know that I wasn't going to just either, one, try and stand over you until you agree, which I know you're well enough to, and that's not going to happen, which then means my only other next option is to be pissed off that you won't agree. Because if I can't get you to change your opinion, whereas I was happy to say, I just don't agree with you on this thing. And I still don't years later. Fully. But I do think we're playing semantics with words
I
a
don't
little
think
bit.
we are. I think that you say it's a conscious choice. You can train yourself, like I said at the start of this, you can condition yourself into, and no one is good at it, but you can do it.
Well,
it's always a choice.
So here's the danger of that conditioning. People always talk about trusting your gut, and we talked last week about watching for red flags. My only issue with trusting our gut sometimes is that our gut reacts on past experiences, not on future. It's not necessarily a future predictor. And by that I mean, if you've been cheated on more than once in multiple relationships, then as soon as you see a behaviour that happens from someone that could also be tied into a past person, you think, oh, they're cheating or they're going to cheat. And they might not be. Do you know what I mean? Like you can sometimes accelerate a thing that's not there because you get triggered. I hate using words like triggered and trauma and that because I think they're overused, if I'm really honest. But triggers, if we want to put them on a base level, are just things that make you react out of your past, not out of your future. And the problem, and the reason we do that and the reason we can't do what I'm talking about necessarily off the top of our head is because you probably have overlooked some of those triggers in the past and then you've been proven wrong again. No, it's happened again. It's happened again. It's happened again. And then you get to the stage where you could burn people. So my trigger is, and I think I've been pretty clear about this with you, is that I always think people are going to leave me because everyone that's ever loved you has left you, starting with your parents. And I'm not here to disrespect my parents. I get on okay with them now, better than I ever have. But I look back at my past and realise as soon as I think there's a chance that someone might leave, I'll push them away because I would want to control that. So that's a trigger. If I continue that trigger and I'm with someone that doesn't have the capacity to give a bit of ground, then I'm going to push them away. And that's just going to be a constant thing. And then you'd go through, and I've heard this from so many people, I'm better off being on my own, right? I've said that for years, for a decade. And then I meet you, and we've triggered each other absolutely we have different triggers, of course, different life experiences, and we've triggered each other on things. But what we've become really good at is giving some ground against our triggers, even though it might feel uncomfortable. It feels uncomfortable to sit in your triggers. It feels uncomfortable to have to look at yourself in the mirror, which is what a good relationship, I think, isn't perfect and stress-free. It's where the light gets shone on you and you just deal with it, and it gets shone on your dark parts. And the reason I say that is because we tend to resolve things a lot quicker than we used to. Like, I know the first time I ever had...
Because we chose to change the way that we feel about those particular things.
See how she does that? She brings it all back to me. Conscious choice. So we're both right.
Reconditioned choice. Practice.
Practice makes perfect. So, yeah, I'll give you some ground on that.
I'll give you another example of what I mean. Okay, so this particular issue, if we were going by your logic or your belief in this situation, you should feel bad because somebody is trying to make you feel bad about this particular thing. So I've been in a relationship way back when somebody said, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, that's common, eh?
It is common, and it's really, really weird. But anyway, immediately I was like, what do you want me to... And this is going to sound cold as.
It is.
It's going to sound cold as, but I will not be...
Manipulated. That's a manipulation.
I will not be emotionally manipulated by that. So if you want to make the choice to end your life, I will not feel bad about it. And I just won't.
Would a piece of you feel bad if they did end their life?
No. I would probably feel a little bit sad that someone's
they were in
son
your life
died,
and now
or
they're
you
not,
know,
or-
someone's grandson died, and I'd feel bad for those people. But I'm not going to be made
I've heard of
to feel bad.
I've heard of teenagers having that manipulation. Just to segue a little bit, where we know someone, I won't name names, but who broke some rules in her parents' house, and then it was when we sat and talked to her, it was like, oh, but he said he was going to do something to himself, like. And they were 16. You're like, stop it. That's to be manipulating someone at 16.
So if you're going to allow yourself for other people to make you feel something, then those tactics would work so well on you. So I'm going to kill myself if you leave me. Oh, my God. Okay, let's stay together for the next 20 years.
So we're in a great relationship, right, you and I, which is so... And that's different to a perfect relationship. Because I don't think they exist. I think we're perfect for each other, but I don't think there's anything as perfect, obviously. But I think we're in a great relationship because we have grown and evolved, and I think that's what relationships are meant to be about. But there are absolutely still things that trigger each other that we fully disagree on, and then it's about how we respond to get ourselves to that next point. So say we have this great relationship for the next 10 years. Everything's good. And then one day something happens and you just leave, and I don't know where that came from or why that happened, or I don't think that would be you because you're pretty open discussion. So it's probably a poor example, but you're pretty honest. But I would feel terrible. by the thing because I didn't see it coming. So I don't know how I would train myself not to feel bad about that.
Eventually, you could feel better. But ultimately what I'm saying is it's your choice. I haven't made you feel anything. You feel sad based on your love for me, based on how you feel, based on your expectations of me.
And you leaving me.
And me saying that I wouldn't leave you and you believing that. But again, that's your choice.
Yeah.
And I'll give you another example, right? Say you buy me flowers every week, which you do, love you, and you take me out for dinner and you do all the standard things that you think that are going to make me happy. And I'm like sad. You can't make me happy. You've tried. You've done all the things that you think are going to make me happy. Well, this is an example. All those things would make me happy. And they
I'll stop
do.
and buy flowers. don't you
And
dare.
they do make me happy. But imagine
If
you're
they
doing
didn't.
all the things that you do to make me happy, and still I'm not happy.
So I would, in that situation,
Because it's my choice whether I'm going to be happy about the things that you're doing. It's my choice.
but my situation would be to try and work out why you're not happy.
Yeah, but we're talking
And then
about
I would then
if
work
you're
out.
going
So if flowers aren't the thing that make you happy, what is the thing? And I don't know. Like I'd have to try and work out what that is for you. Like if I'm buying you the flowers and all you really want is me to help around the house, which is a standard thing in a relationship, not for us, but it's a standard thing in a relationship where flowers are great, but I'd love it if you do some freaking dishes and help put the kids to bed.
But have you ever heard the saying, or some people are just never happy? Because it's their choice.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
can do everything, and they're simply not happy because of whatever's going on in their own
That
heads.
is true.
Just making a choice whether to be unhappy.
That's where I will agree with you on this one. On this one.
Wait, this whole week is like, I'm going to get you on this one. We didn't get me.
Because she's choosing not to be gotten. I'm an actual idiot. No, so yeah, I'm gonna leave. I think that's where we have to leave that sit and let people decide. We're open to your opinions.
We would love. We actually will put an NGL on this episode.
Yeah.
When we post it, and please give me your feedback. And because I know that it seems like I'm very self-righteous and I'm like always right.
And we're kind of laughing and joking about it, but this is how a conversation should be.
Yeah, this is how a conversation
There's no emotion
should
to
be.
this. It's
No.
no like you need to see my point of view.
No, we're
It's
genuinely
like-
giving our point of view.
Yeah,
So
like
we also love your point of view. So
100.
if you can weigh in on this situation, if you can tell me something that I'm not seeing, or you can tell Glenn something that he's not seeing, or we love feedback. So so send it in and weigh in on your thoughts on this.
We're not couple therapists, but
No.
from my point of view, as a couple, you've got to be very comfortable with your partner being wrong, even if they don't see it. Cute. That's what she normally goes, cute. I'll pay for that later. Edit. No, I just think it's good to have the open conversations where you don't attach emotion to it. People attach emotion to conversations that so don't need it.
I know.
Like, why is this even that important? You know, and you see it around anything from kids' sports to political. That's why people say don't talk about politics, religion. Why not? Well, unless you're emotionally charging to, I'm not that attached to any political opinion or a religious opinion. I just have my own beliefs.
Yeah.
That's all. And I don't agree with everything.
Yeah.
The only time I'll have a real strong opinion is if you espouse a religious belief and then you behave in a very different way. But that doesn't even have to be religious. And we've experienced that in the episode last week where people were putting out all this stuff about God and all that sort of stuff and then behaving in a very different way. Well, I'll definitely have an opinion on that. But that's just not to do specifically with religion. That's to do with you not being aligned with what you say. So if you're going to say a thing, then do a thing. Like be who you say you are, be the biggest thing. So there's such a shorter episode this week, but it was fun. It's one that Millie has been wanting to talk about forever, and I've been not delaying it, but we've just had other stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm open.
Mainly because I really didn't enjoy this part of one of our first dates where we had this discussion, and it didn't turn ugly just because we disagreed with each other.
Yeah.
And I would love to share that with our audience, and also I'd love the audience to weigh in because maybe I'm seeing something, I'm not seeing something.
No, I don't think either of us are right or wrong. I think we're just approaching it from, like you say, different perspectives of life experiences, how we're interpreting certain things. And you can, again, be in conversations, particularly with your partner, but with anyone, where you don't have to be right or wrong. It's like if you've got very good friends even, you don't have to be on board with every single thing. A lot of people have echo chambers, so they only hang around with people who have the 100% beliefs that they have.
Yeah.
And then you can't expand anything in the world because you're only seeing things.
You're in your little box.
Yeah, it's like if you were born in one suburb of Brisbane and you never left that suburb of Brisbane, you don't know the world. All you can do is watch it on TV and have an opinion on it. But I can watch something, in India or America, or like I can smell India because I've been to Nepal and India, and you have to experience some things in life. Like people can have an opinion on PNG. If you've not been there, you don't know. And so you get stuck in these echo chambers because you surround yourself with people that are yes, yes, yes with everything that you say. And weaker personalities will absolutely mould to that, and we do not have weak personalities. So therefore, if we don't have weak personalities, and therefore we know that every discussion that we disagree on is going to stay because we're going to lock hard on our own beliefs, and we respond poorly to that, how could you stay together? Or you're just going to be constantly fighting. And so we're not like that. We just we'll just feed it in every now and then. I'm sure this will be discussed on the way home. But I'd like to open the floor to other topics and conversations. What are some things? We got some things we were going to talk about over the next couple of weeks.
I've written a little list.
Yeah, because we've had so many people that have reached out to us. I get text messages and Facebook messages from people, that I think are really cool, and we're open to. Like NGL means that people can be anonymous, so of course you get a few that are a bit disgruntled, grubby sort of comments in there. All good, like I don't care, they don't have to be aired. But for the most part, they're really good. And then when people Facebook or text messages, it's more open and honest, of nice things, because I just, hey, this is the thing. And I got one the other day, and I read it to you from a friend of ours. So I took this guy, John Tannick, to Kokoda. He's a great bloke, and his dad fought over there. And one of his daughters, I think it was Leah, messaged me. Yeah, and I'll read this because, Leah won't mind. She said, I've been listening to Mayhem Monday. The episode on divorce stopped me in my tracks. It was raw, honest, and to be honest, the most relatable content I've heard. I tend to avoid podcasts on this topic as I've been there, done that, and got the battle scars and don't want to look back too much. Till Death Do Us Part has never sat well with me when people query this. Millie's answer to this is exactly what I've always thought. At what cost? I guess the clue is in the title. Till Death Do Us Part. The cost is the death of someone's values, mental state, physical state, and overall psychological well-being. No, thank you. I'll also admit on Monday I went looking for yours and Millie's podcast as I've enjoyed the previous ones, but the latest one did blow me away. And then she said, I've always enjoyed your podcast, Glenn, but with Millie's input and involvement for me, it's even better.
Oh, thank you.
So, and that's just one episode. So, massive thank you to Leo, who I'm sure will be listening or watching this.
Yeah.
We value these feedbacks because when you get some negatives, you can lock down on that. But we get so many more positives, so many more people.
While we're on that topic, though, of feedback and the divorce episode, there were a few, because I put an NGL, you were on Kokoda, and I put an NGL link up on Give Me Your Thoughts on the Divorce podcast. And I got a couple. First of all, thank you for sharing, they wrote. Second of all, they wrote, loyalty goes both ways. Absolutely. Someone wrote, I can't believe people ask you these questions. Honestly, good for you for staying so calm.
Can I just pause on that? The reason we stay so calm is that we are pretty emotionally stable like we have emotions like everyone else. And I'm sure sometimes you read a thing and it's like a bit triggering if someone has a hard dig. Yeah. It's because we made a choice.
You cannot make me feel anything.
But we just stay calm because, hey, this is a public podcast. If you want to have a question or opinion, we're not experts in anything, but we've got life experience we'd love to share with people just to make life better. And if someone like Leah, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there that have been through divorces and stuff, and particularly from the women's side where it can be a bit more frowned upon still in today's society, to say, hey, like I'm a human and I've got a voice and I've got a feeling about this,
There was also this question, would you have given him another chance if Glenn wasn't around? Absolutely not. I will not go back on somebody blatantly lying to my face many, many times about small things and big things. That's just honesty and transparency is a massive thing for me. And when it gets to a line where I need to cut it, I will cut it and I will not look back. And you can't make me feel bad about that.
But you also have to, that comes down to a level of self-respect. And you have always said to me, I'd prefer to be on my own.
Yeah.
And I certainly reached that stage before I met you where I was adamant that this was my life now to be on my own. And I'd settled on that. I was okay with it. You've got to be okay with the potential of being on your own. I remember years ago, one of my best mates' daughter was like 14 or 15 and had split up with some boy, and it was like the worst thing in the world, and now I'm going to be a loser, and 2 weeks later she'll send someone else, and you go, you don't have to be with someone, and I understand at that age, at school there's probably pressures, but I know people in their 30s doing that. Like they feel like if you're on your own, you must be unlovable. That's not true at all, but love starts with having the capacity to love yourself. And one of my best mates, Michael, said to us recently, we were talking to him about a business thing, and I think you went into boxing, and we talked about how many people I've helped, which was last week's podcast, and certain athletes I'd worked with. And he said, I've watched you do this. And he said, and part of my belief is that maybe you haven't learned to love yourself. I thought it's an interesting perspective, because if you're not having learnt fully to love yourself, maybe you're seeking that validation through helping other people. Oh, you're the guy that's helped me. Thank you so much. My own parents couldn't do that. And I've had that feedback from athletes. Like, my parents don't do this. I've had athletes stuck overseas whose parents couldn't stump up $300 to help them, so they ring me, right? And so then I'd like being that saviour maybe. That was sort of Michael's perspective. So I'm open to that idea. Learn to love yourself.
The last one here, relating to the divorce episode, which I did say that I was going to answer it on my stories, and like just life happened and I forgot, so I'll just do it now. But it said, because we mentioned something physical that happened.
Yes.
So the question was, what was the physical thing that happened? I actually don't want to answer that, only because it did go down a very short legal route. And essentially it's my word against his word against mine. And so there's no point in talking about it.
No, and there were claims, DV claims made and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, some of the result of that I'm not happy with, but we can't control. So, again, we either allow that to...
He's getting it. He's getting it, guys.
I was trapped. We either allow that to be our problem for the next 5 or 10 years and be annoyed.
Or we just choose to not feel annoyed and just to move on and, you know, yeah. So I will say that I got my divorce finalised. And I met with him down at the courthouse.
To do that was good.
We got a JP to sign it. We had a really good conversation around how the kids are, how his kids are, how my kids are. You know, there wasn't any anger or animosity. It was just what it was. Move on, all good. I gave him back his engagement ring.
I was away.
Kokoda.
Yeah, I was away on Kokoda. And in one day, you had caught up with your ex, and then another ex rang her from like when she was a kid almost.
Yeah.
19
crazy.
or 20.
He just popped up. I'm driving, and then he's got the same number for years, and it's just rocked up on my phone, and I was like,
why would he be ringing me?
Hey, how you doing? And then apparently he had seen me, someone had shown him my WBC win on Facebook, because he's real hippie and he doesn't have any of that stuff. He never has. He's funny.
She likes the hippie types.
He just said, one of my friends showed me that you were doing really well in boxing, and I just wanted to say congratulations and all of that. And he gave me his full address, and he's like, if you guys are ever down this way, come and say hey.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, like, it kind of made me feel a little way initially, like that you're caught up with two exes, and because you're pretty cool like that. You're like, whatever, like it is what it is. But as a man, you still got to, there was just a little piece of like, oh, you know, and I'm not home, but whatever. And then very quickly you just get over yourself.
Yeah.
And you have taught me that. So I'm going to concede a little bit of ground on this feelings thing, because you've taught me to process those feelings a lot differently than, and I think a lot of men are in this boat, unfortunately, that if a male is involved, and we talked about this weeks ago, but with your partners can make you feel a certain way. And you don't process or learn to change your thoughts or behaviours around that because you've never challenged to.
Yeah.
But you you didn't even challenge me to. You just were very calmly asking me, saying, well, why would that be a thing unless you don't trust me, that's true. And so, yeah, it was just, I'm glad you did it, to be honest, and I'm glad it was really calm, and I think it's a nice way for that to end, because when relationships end, even if there's some physical or there's all the other things, I don't think inherently people are bad people. I just think we're just not meshed sometimes. And when we're out of alignment in our values and stuff, because I'm adamant believer that most of the people that I've dated with are bad people. But as I've gotten older, I think, well, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Like, they just weren't for me.
No.
And so, you know, I can see how people would think I'm not a good person.
Yeah, me too, 100%. There's people in my old life that could look at me and go, oh, this. And at the time, there are certain choices that I made that weren't necessarily good and didn't really serve other people. And so, you know, you have every right to paint me in that light because that was your experience of me.
Yeah.
So
I've said to Melly in the early days, I wish I'd met you sooner. And you said to me, no, you wouldn't have liked that version of me.
There was a very different version of me.
Yeah.
Like I always was who I am to my core.
Yeah.
And but I just made certain choices that weren't the right choice based on that time of my life.
Yeah. But based on, again, the education, the experience, the, you know, where the road life took you on, if all that was presented to you same, you'd probably make the same decision, right? It's only when we know better we do better. So, and it's the same for all of us. We've all got little dark patches of our lives that we're not proud of or that we would hate to get judged on. And that's what, this is a segue, but the sadness for young people today is so much more of their lives can be judged because it's so out there in public. Whereas for us, I guess you're probably the last generation that didn't grow up with that stuff. Came in a little bit later. Our kids have got it, you know, from such a young age that you've got to deal with all of that. And that just adds layers of complexity. So I've enjoyed this episode.
Me too.
And we'll see where the next one goes. Thank you for the people that do send feedback through. We really, honestly, we do appreciate it.
We do.
We don't take it personally.
Nah.
We know that people have got opinions of us. We say we don't judge people. We all naturally run people through a filter when we see them. But when I look at really harsh judgment of us, I would process that as you don't really know us. That's all. And that's neither here nor there as a negative because I know we're good people. And I know there's been a lot of tears over last week's episode, and for you and for me, we've really hammered ourselves over how that happened and why that happened and wanting to help people and all of that sort of thing. And that's just because we care. And, you know, we might come across tough, but we care. And that's why we help people. And so now we've just learned to say, well, that's just a part of the process, you know. So that's us. Another episode of Mayhem Monday.
Have a great week ahead.
We might put up an NGL and just ask people what they'd like us to talk about even. Yeah, or even just on our general stories. So follow our stories. It's just at Glenazar for myself and it's at Millie Mayhem. You changed it recently to
Millie Mayhem Saul.
Saul, yeah. And now linked to your Facebook and whatnot. So if people want to ask us questions, Instagram's the best way, really, because it's just quick. Thanks, team.
Thanks, guys.